Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Money Down Pod, baby. Episode number 5. I'm your host, Kayvon and Shawn, along with the other host, Shawn White. Shawn, how are you doing today, my guy?
Doing great. Ready to touch on this NFL stuff today.
Thursday night football, bro. Huge game night. Really unfortunate for football fans that we're not getting Green Bay at full, man. Because, look, and we'll just get right into this. We're actually going to jump right into some Cowboys Vikings here in a minute, but really quickly, I do think this is an interesting topic. Arizona's great, and they have had one test against the Rams in LA where they showed up for, but we really haven't seen them like. Think about this, man. We see Aaron Rodgers lead 2-minute drives. Shoot, we see Matt Ryan lead a couple. We see Tom Brady. I can't really remember a time where Kyler Murray has had to lead a 2-minute drive to win the game yet. So great quarterback. I want to see that out of Kyler Murray, man. And I really thought tonight could have been the night where we get it. I don't know how Green Bay keeps up though without those guys.
Yeah, without Devontae, he's
You know what
like
I'm
the
saying?
whole
Like,
heart.
can you think of a moment where it's like, oh dang, you remember when Kyler Murray did that? Other than like the Hail Mary, like I'm talking like a clutch.
I'm trying to think back to that. Actually, that's not one really sticks in my mind.
And I'm
I mean,
not hating on Kyler Murray here. I'm just saying, like, I want to see that.
he brought him back in the Vikings game, but then the Vikings just missed a field goal. So I mean, that really wasn't his fault, but that wasn't the end of game situation either.
Yeah, he did have that amazing game last year against Russell Wilson, where I think he had like 4 touchdowns. But yeah, so that would be something. But this game, I do feel like NFL fans, unfortunately, getting cheated a bit. It would have been a fantastic game. I still think it could be good. I think Aaron Jones could have a really good game rushing it on the ground, but it will be interesting. Let's get into this news, man, because this is interesting, and we're not going to spoil anything, but we were talking about this Cowboys-Vikings game as a possible pick, and when we were doing it, you noticed something, Shawn. So say what you noticed, and what does this kind of tell us?
So yeah, I was looking at that +2.5 Vikings line, and then all of a sudden it was -2.5, and I was like, "What?" So I went to obviously you go to Twitter. So I went to Twitter. You can follow me at Dumpster Fire Fan. You got Kayvon's Twitter handle over there. Yeah. So I went over there, and they're talking about Dak not practicing all week, and if the line moved with Vegas like that, then he's probably not playing. Which is a weird thing to say, but that's exactly what happened with that Green Bay line. If you looked at it early, before Devontae's COVID thing even came out, all of a sudden the Cardinals were getting point after point after point, and it just went up to 6.5. Then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Devontae Adams has COVID." And it's like, wow, those Vegas bettors are smart. They know that information beforehand. And that's kind of what's happening right here. I think Dak's going to miss the game. So that's definitely a big swing of things if that happens.
Yeah, that's such a really good apples to apples comparison there, man, because a line doesn't move 4 points unless some news comes out. Like, let's understand that real quick. A half a point, even a point, even 1.5 points. For a line to move 4 points like that, it's telling us that Dak isn't playing. And to be honest, why should he play, bro? Listen to this. Is Washington going to compete with them? Is Philly? Are the Giants? They have that division locked up. Okay, that division is locked up. Their long-term goal, and for once in the Cowboys' lifetime, since like 30 years ago, can actually say their long-term goal is getting to the Super Bowl. And that's actually a realistic long-term goal. Why put Dak out here in a Sunday night game against the Vikings when you have the division locked up? And maybe you could say, well, this game could come back in a tiebreaker situation. But if you win the division, you're going to have a home playoff game. Like, I just don't see what's the point of putting him out there, in my opinion.
No, I don't either. It really just hurts him for the 1 seed. That's the only thing that it would really hurt him on. But then again, you need a healthy Dak, and he's been sitting for a week, so you might as well just give him 2. I mean,
might as well. Like I said,
that division is awful. I mean, the worst. It's a terrible, terrible division. And I mean, the Eagles are a dumpster fire. The Eagles are a dumpster fire. The Giants are a dumpster fire. And Washington's defense, for some reason, can't get going. And I mean, who buys Heineke at this point? So they're gonna cakewalk into the playoffs, and they just need to make sure they're at full strength for that time of the year, because there's no way, unless Dak actually does get hurt and is out for multiple games, that they have any issue with this division as weak as it is. So I fully support sitting them, but I think it's funny that the line shifted that quick beforehand, and then all of a sudden that news breaks, because if it was just about people speculating that he wouldn't be healthy, it would have went to a pick 'em, but no, that swung complete favorites to the Vikings. So
why it's if you can find someone that that's a sharp bettor, it would be nice to get that news. I try and follow it as close as I can, but that's stuff that happens like that. There's no reason. Like let's be very clear. As talented as this Cowboys team is, if Dak gets hurt, they become a dumpster fire worse than Washington and these other teams, or just as bad. The Giants end up becoming a favorite to win that division. Everything is about Dak. There's no point of putting it out here other than NBC being pissed off because they get a terrible Sunday night game now. I like the Vikings to win that game if this is what's really happening. And the Vikings need this game. Let's talk about the Vikings side here, man. Look, the Vikings could be undefeated. I mean, let's look at their losses. They lost in overtime to the Cincinnati Bengals team that is now, we realize, a very good team. And they lost in overtime when they were driving to score and Dalvin Cook fumbled. All they had to do was not fumble that ball. They kicked the field goal and win. They lost to Arizona on a last-second field goal, with you just mentioned. Easy chip shot or two. Wasn't even like a 50-yarder. Just a chip shot, you win. A couple of these games turn around, bro. We're talking about a really good Vikings team here that I actually do think is a good football team. I think their defense is not very good, but I think that the Vikings are a pretty good football team. What are your thoughts on them?
Oh, they're solid. They're just a roller coaster to follow.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the way Zimmer coaches. Sometimes he drives me crazy how conservative he can get. And I mean, Kirk has limitations, but he's still a solid quarterback with two extremely good weapons on the outside and Dalvin Cook behind him. Madison's good too. I mean, the defense has been bad for them, though, especially the secondary, but they aren't going to have to worry about that this week if Cooper Rush is sorry. So, I mean, the wide receivers might beat the secondary like they would normally, but I don't know if Cooper Rush is going to be hitting them in stride. That's all I'm saying. I think they can stop the run pretty decent. So I like them for this week, and I actually like them on the season. They're a good team. It's just they're so hard to watch, especially if you put money on them. I mean, you just hold your breath the whole game.
No doubt.
Especially if you got, I mean, that's what riding Kirk Cousins is anyway. Yeah. He's a roller coaster to ride. So, but like I said, they're talented. They should win this game now, and they really need it to keep pace with the wild card teams. Honestly, I think the Vikings and your Falcons are probably two of the wild card contenders out there, because obviously the loser of the Rams Cardinals is going to get in. And then, I mean, after that, it's kind of wide open. You got to get the Saints obviously seem to be solid, even though Jameis can't be trusted. So then it's going to come down to really the Vikings, Falcons, Saints as those last two wild cards, I feel like. And that's kind of how it goes.
I agree. Yeah. The Saints defense is just what's keeping them in check. And that defense, I mean, Demario Davis was playing outstanding on Monday Night Football.
Has been for like 3 years. He's so good.
He is so good, dude. It's incredible what he's been doing. If that's what's keeping him in the game. I do like that they got Mark Ingram. Him and Alvin. Sorry for all you Alvin Kamara guys, though. That sucks. Yeah, Alvin Kamara will still dominate fantasy, but that's going to take some touches away from him, other than because that was it. It was just Alvin Kamara back there.
Yeah, quick sad update on that. I had Mark Ingram in one of our leagues. I dropped him 5 minutes before he got traded.
Ooh, that sucks.
No lie, 5 minutes. I went back and looked. I was sick. My wife picked him up on waivers. She's ahead of me in waivers by like 4 times. I came in the house. She's like, "Guess who I just picked up?" And I was like, "Who?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, I'm up there in waivers, so I just claimed Mark Ingram." And I was like, "Huh?" I was like,
"Well, that's it."
I was like, "Why?" She's like, "He got traded." Like, I hadn't seen the news yet. I was like, "Traded to who? The Saints?" I said, "You were kidding me, man." I was so upset afterwards. And then she's just talking shit to me. So, yeah, that's how that goes.
That's a double whammy, bro. Not only do you drop him right before, but then your wife gets him.
The wife in the house just kills me immediately. Just gets me with him. Oh.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. Yeah, but that's a good pickup by the Saints. I agree. I think that I hope that the Falcons are able to stay in the hunt where they're one of those wild card teams there. And that'll be interesting. So this is a big game, and the Vikings, luckily, it seems like now nothing's official yet, but like Shawn said, you don't see a line move like that unless there is going to be some news coming out about Dak not playing. So that's going to be a huge game for the Vikings to be able to get. Shawn, let's move over to this Bears-Niners game here. I know you wanted to talk about that, and rightfully so. There's some news there just about what's going on with these teams. What are your thoughts on this?
So first off, are you thinking Trey Lance plays this week because he's practicing?
I think he should play.
I think he should too. I think it's time to pull the trigger on him. If he's healthy, he needs to start. And I think the Trey Lance Justin Fields matchup very intriguing this week if that happens. Very intriguing match right there. And the Bears are going to be desperate. They're going to need to play too because they're going to get left behind in this playoff hunt, and Nagy cannot afford to it the way he's been looking these last few weeks. Nagy's kind of coaching for his job right now, and he's going to need to get Justin Fields going with some good play calls, maybe run some of his college stuff, get him moving a little bit. I mean, get him running. It took the Jags about 4 weeks to get Trevor running. And you need to get Justin running out there. He needs to read half the field sometimes. He needs to run the option a little bit. You need to get him going. It's time. It's time to get the offense moving on that. And as for the Niners, I mean, you might have to be a little bit careful with Trey this week just because you don't want to get him injured again. But it's time to play him. I mean, I don't know if I can sit through watching another game of Jimmy G back there. I don't know if I can do it. It's just too bad a quarterback play.
What's the point? What is literally the point? You're not winning the Super Bowl. Like, get 3 years ago or 2 years ago out of your head. Like, that is not happening anymore. The stars aligned perfectly for that year. You guys were able to run on everyone's throat. You can't run the ball like that anymore that well. And every time you do, you go away from it. The defense isn't as good as it was back then. Everything, the injuries line, everything lined up. Get that out of your head. And I want to say this. If we do see Trey Lance, we better see a better game plan from Kyle Shanahan than what we saw against Arizona. Dude, Arizona, I mean, San Francisco had every right to win that Arizona game. They lost that game by 3 points, bro. They were in that game the whole time. And 2 times they got into the red zone. 1 time they got into the 1 yard line and they weren't able to score because some of these play calls that Kyle Shanahan's doing. You're right about Justin Fields. It's the same thing for Trey Lance as well. And this is the one thing I don't get about these coaches sometimes, man. Why was John Harbaugh so easy and willing to say, we're going to take Lamar Jackson and we're going to make this offense all about him. We're going all in or we're not doing this crap. And I'm not saying that Trey Lance and Justin Fields are like Lamar Jackson. Lamar's a very unique talent, but it's just the concept of being willing to be all in. Not saying, hey, I'm an NFL coach. I want to make them do my type of stuff. They took their egos back and they did what fits him. Matt Nagy's going to lose his job because he's not willing to do that. And it just doesn't make any sense to me, man.
No, it doesn't at all. And especially, I mean, Fields ran like a 4.40. He's probably about the 3rd fastest quarterback. Behind Lamar and Kyler, he's the fastest quarterback other than them. And he's bigger than both of them, so he should be able to take a shot or two here or there. I mean, you obviously don't want to throw him out there just getting hit by everybody, but he can take a shot every now and then. And he played like that in college. I mean, it's time to get him comfortable with what he's doing and stop playing like you got Andy Dalton back there when you don't. You have Justin Fields. Let him show his arm off. Let him hit some deep routes. I mean, scheme. I mean,
does Allen Robinson play anymore?
Allen Robinson was just complaining this week. Did you see his comments?
Yeah, dude, and rightfully so, man. The guy is irrelevant. People are dropping Allen Robinson in fantasy. If I told you that 3 months ago, you would have said, Kayvon, you're an idiot. Like, he's irrelevant. He is absolutely – it's sad.
Yeah, and don't tell me he can't play because I watch him catch balls from Blake Bortles constantly and then from Mitch Trubisky. I mean, he has a legit quarterback prospect now back there. I mean, let him play. Get him involved. It just drives me crazy when coaches do stuff like that. And on Kyle now, because it drives me crazy that he even would contemplate playing Garoppolo at this point unless Trey Lance just can't go. But for some reason, Kyle gets this weird tunnel vision thing in his head about his scheme and everything, and then he just feels like he has to play Garoppolo to give him the best chance to win this week. Yeah. It's not about winning this week, Kyle. It's about winning the long term, and you drafted Trey Lance. It's time to get him some reps going on and going forward. It's time to move on that. Those reports came out that they turned down a 2 from New England for Garoppolo. How bad does that look now? How bad does that look? And not only that, he's getting all this heat, him and Lynch both, because you drafted Trey Lance, you're reluctant to play him. Your second round pick's a guard that plays on the practice squad. He doesn't even see the field, and it's not like your guard play is great down there. So you're looking real shaky right now. If you're Kyle and John, you better start winning some games. Better start getting some victories going, because that heat in San Francisco is coming after you, because they're a big market themselves, and they don't like to watch losing as much as they do, even though they've been losing for a while now.
Also, bro, let's understand, John Lynch and Shanahan, they acquired Armstead. They acquired that entire defensive line, bro, other than Bosa, which was the obvious pick at number 2. Like that they didn't make any of those picks. Since then, Ayuk, that was a good pick at the time. They don't ever use him anymore. So now it doesn't look like a good pick, right? Like the picks that Lynch has made since he's been in there haven't been that great. And now you trade that many picks to Miami to move up, when now we're hearing rumors about they could have just stayed at 7, bro, and got Mac Jones there because Shanahan liked Mac Jones that much. Like, the whole thing's a bit of a disaster to me. And you're right, it's a must-win game. If they lose this game, it's a must-win for both sides, bro. It really is. To me personally, and I hate doing this, I hate calling for people's jobs, I just don't see how Chicago can bring back Matt Nagy at this point. I think Matt Nagy has done way too many fireball offenses. I think after that first game against Cleveland, how he put his rookie out there, I think that was the most disaster. I think that was a disgrace. I just couldn't believe what he did to his rookie quarterback, how he didn't bring any new protection out there. He kept it against that pass rush the whole time. I don't think you can go back on all the stuff that Matt Nagy's done. I think you have to start new there. Kyle's different. Kyle's got them to the championship. He's in this whole situation. They're not going to fire him this year. So I think Kyle's in a little bit better situation. He still has to show up, because you're right, the heat is coming. But for me, I hate to say it, but I just think the Nagy's era is over.
If Nagy's gone, then Pace has to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's the truth. The way his cap has been awful, and his drafting is very questionable too. But both of them need to be gone if that's the case. Let me throw this out to you. If Nagy does end up gone, you think the GM might make a run at Greg Roman? Because I try to think about this a lot of times. Greg Roman isn't really going to get head coaching jobs unless you're going to build that with a quarterback like that. So like I brought up on the college show Malik Willis, like if I'm going to draft him top 5, which I wouldn't. But if I was a GM that was going to draft him top 5, I'd hire Greg Roman with him, because that's how you're going to get him to be most effective.
I would.
So if you're going to be a GM, because I feel like both would get fired if Nagy's getting fired. So if you're going to be the GM,
I think that would make sense.
Would you bring Roman in? Because Fields obviously has the 4.4 speed and run the same style. And I feel like Fields is a better natural thrower than Lamar, and a way better thrower than Kaepernick. So you could run the offense.
I think so too. I think that's a really interesting point. And the only thing you worry about is just, can Greg Roman be a head coach? But hopefully you can bring in a good defensive coordinator to go with it. It makes all the sense in the world. I mean, it really does. It's the Lamar. It's the Baltimore Ravens way. You're either all in or you're not. And the problem is, I don't know if the Bears understood that when they took Justin Fields. I really don't know. I really think that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy thought, we can turn this guy into the way that we want him to be. And that's so dumb. So I think they both have to go. And I think that they should bring in a GM that's then willing to go for a guy like that. It makes sense. It really does. I just worry that they didn't think that way. And maybe the owner's smart enough to think that way now. Yeah,
I'm not sure what they were thinking when they did it, because you could clearly watch him in college, and it was very obvious. You got to run. You're going to have to run some RPO, some read option type stuff to start with, until he's comfortable enough reading defenses. And especially with the O-line the way it is, you're going to have to do something, because that O-line is going to get him killed. You can't sit back there and drop him back. You can't sit there and act like he's Patrick Mahomes, because he's not. So I don't know what Nagy was thinking on that. Like, he's clearly needs to play a more Cam Newton Lamar style game plan to start with. And that's not to say he needs to do that his whole career, but these first year or two, until he's comfortable enough reading defenses and sitting in the pocket more, what they did to him last week was egregious.
Dude, they're destroying him. They're destroying him, man.
That was one of the worst games I've seen a quarterback play, and it's not all his fault at all. It's just you're playing the Buccaneers, and your game plan and offensive line is just awful. So they're getting him killed back there, and they need to do a much better job. And I'm curious to see how they do this week with the 49ers, because I feel like it's two organizations with a GM and a coach that kind of looking a little bit on the hot seat, even though you would think Kyle wouldn't go, but the media is coming hard for him right now. So
I just don't see the Bears changing anything. I really don't see Matt Nagy changing. Dude, do anything to get this guy some confidence in that game yesterday, in the game the other 2 weeks ago. It's pathetic, man. They are in front of our eyes, bro. We are seeing Justin Fields get ruined. And now we just have to hope and pray that a new regime can come in and save him, man, because this is how QBs get destroyed. This is how really good, talented QBs get destroyed. Nobody is bulletproof, bro. I don't care how talented you are. You are not bulletproof from a bad organization. You're just not. Justin Fields is really good. He's not bulletproof, and this will destroy him if they don't get it right, man. And we are watching this live in person right now, man. That the guy's confidence has to take a hit after a game like that. After a game 2 weeks ago, like he has to be thinking, like, why can I not play in this league?
I mean, did you see him on the sideline? It was kind of dejected. It was sad to look at.
But all you got to do, man, just get his feet moving. Just get his feet moving. Get him hitting someone on stride. Like, it's just it's really frustrating to watch. It really is.
I mean, I haven't really checked much. Is Tariq Cohen still out?
Yeah, I think he is.
I mean, they need him back desperately because I don't see a screenplay ran. Like, run a screen, please.
Mm-hmm.
Run a draw play. Do something for your offensive line.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're running the ball is the sad thing. It's like they're running the ball fine.
Khalil Herbert's a big
play action plays.
Khalil Herbert's a bright spot. He's awesome. Man, do you know that nobody has been able to run for 100 yards on that Bucs defense? He did. Like, Khalil Herbert is a really good. I actually really wanted the Falcons to draft him. I think I loved him coming out of college. He was one of my favorite running backs coming out this year. I like it. That's a bright spot. Like, they're just not using the quarterback the right way, and it's a big disappointment, man. I don't think there's anything else we can say.
He ran for 100 yards. They lost by 30.
Yeah. Like, how pathetic is that?
That's awful.
Terrible. Let's move on to this Falcons. My Falcons, of course. This Falcons Panthers game. I think this is a fascinating game because of Sam Darnold. It's a fascinating game for me because of my Falcons, and it's a huge division game. Like, let's understand this. If the Falcons win, they go to 4-3. They drop the Panthers to 3-5. That's a huge difference. If they lose, Panthers go to 4-4. Falcons go to 3-4. It's a very big difference. It's two big divisional games here to keep both of these teams' playoff hopes alive. Wild card, that is. But I think the biggest story is, how does Sam Darnold look? I think that's got to be the biggest story from the national side of things and from North Carolina side of things for this game. Yeah,
and I mean, no offense to your Falcons, but y'all's defense made Tua look like he was Joe Montana or something back there.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, Darnold has to look good against this defense. If he looks bad, then
you might as well just put him as a backup. It's a dagger. Like, he's going to get benched or something. Because, I mean, they seem to be out of the Deshaun race right now because how weird that whole situation is going. So they're kind of riding out with Sam Darnold at this point. Maybe they think when McCaffrey comes back, it'll get fixed, but it'll be too late by then because if they lose this game, they're about done for playoff-wise. I don't see them coming back on that.
If they lose this game, it's over for them. They're not coming back from that with Sam Darnold.
And with how reeling the Panthers are right now, this is almost a must-win for the Falcons because you got to win your layup games. You can't go in and lose your layup games like that. Yeah. And if he's playing as bad as he is, it's time for the defense to step up and the offense to score enough points to put it out of reach. So this is a real intriguing game, playoff implications all over the place, and I can't wait to watch it. I know you're going to be all locked in for it.
Oh, yeah, no. And so far, the Falcons, other than Washington, they have won their layup games. They beat the Jets. They beat Miami. They should have beat Washington. They dropped that one. They have to keep that going. But AJ Terrell is questionable. He might not even be in. And by the way, bro, PFF has AJ Terrell. It's the 3rd ranked quarterback this season. He's been incredible. I mean, that is one thing that Thomas Dimitroff. I get mad saying his name sometimes, but I don't want to bag on the guy because he also did bring me Matt Ryan and bring me Julio Jones, and he had the gonads to go up and make that trade for Julio Jones. But man, these last couple drafts were rough for Thomas Dimitroff, and he's a big reason why the Falcons are in this hole right now. But one thing he did do good, I love AJ Terrell. I really do. He's been incredible, but man, he had a concussion earlier this season, and now he has a neck injury. Those are very worrisome injuries. If he's out too, if Sam Darnold doesn't throw for 300 yards against this defense, there is no hope moving forward. There's no hope at all. This is the defining game of Sam Darnold's career in Carolina or career overall.
Okay, so I'll roast Dimitrov for you because he lucked into Terrell because every bit of reporting that I had on my side, they wanted to come up to 9 for CJ Henderson, and you're lucky that they didn't do it. Because
and we were talking all that night. We were talking. We thought that he was going to. We really did think that he was going to. There was reports we're going to trade up, this and that. Thank God we did.
Yeah, and Dave Caldwell refused it, and he should have took it, and he's gone because of it. Like, both the GMs got fired after that.
Yeah.
But CJ Henderson doesn't even want to play football at this point. That's basically the reports out of it. And right now this year, between the Jags and now at the Panthers, he's giving up a perfect passer rating when targeted. So he's giving up every play there is.
That's terrible.
So, yeah. Dimitrov looked into that, and we thought he kind of overdrafted Terrell a little bit, but he was spot on that part. But he looked into it because he needed a cornerback, and he took him there.
Yeah, he did. So, no doubt. I really liked Terrell coming out of Clemson too, but you're right, he did. And another guy that he did really good on, but also kind of lucked into it because he had to take this guy. Chris Lindstrom is turning into one of the best guards in the league. I mean, Chris Lindstrom's been awesome. But then again, he did also take Caleb McGarry with the 1st round pick too in that same draft. McGarry hasn't been so great. So
was he hurt or benched last week? Because he wasn't in it right tackle.
He was benched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he hasn't been. Yeah, it hasn't been very good for McGarry, unfortunately.
By the way, I was all on Lindstrom. Me and you talked about him. I loved Lindstrom coming out. He's good. He's a great guard.
I remember when we drafted him, you said he was the best guard in the draft, and he is showing it, man. He is a bona fide superstar, and he's still really young. So, look, we can go through this all day, but the story of this game is this. It's very simple for anybody out there that just wants to hear one-liner for this game. It is all about Sam Darnold. Every single QB that has played the Falcons this year has thrown for 300 yards and has looked really good, except Zach Wilson, and that's because we played really good that game for some reason. Every QB has. It's a must for him to look good this year. If he doesn't, bro, it's it. It's over. Yeah,
it'll be to the bench time for him, and I don't see him getting another shot after this if that's the case. So it'll be a backup type thing.
I see guy. If I'm a GM, I'm looking at taking a shot of Trubisky over him. I mean, I'm looking at even taking it. I'm looking at even going after Mariota over him. Like Mariota and Trubisky, they actually intrigue me a little bit because they still have some raw talent there. That's a little bit fascinating. Mariota, not so much. He's a little bit older now at this point. But Trubisky, I would in a minute take him over that. I wanted the Falcons to sign Trubisky as a backup this year to see if he could learn under Matt Ryan a little bit. Like this is it for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and most people point to Nagy as like, you carried Trubisky in there. Are we sure that Trubisky just wasn't a little bit better than that? And maybe you carried Nagy a little bit? Because I know that sounds blasphemous, but I mean, the way Nagy's been calling plays with Justin Fields, it makes you wonder. So
it's been a disgrace. It really has been. I mean, it's been a just absolute disgrace. And I will say one thing: if you haven't heard Dan Orlovsky, which by the way, man, I think he's been awesome in the media. I don't know if you watched
Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, he has been really good since with his switch over to the media. I know he's very famous for his end zone run. Have you seen that play?
The safety ran out of bounds.
But he had a really fiery, passionate take. It was like a 3-minute take on Matt Nagy after that Browns Bears game. If it's on Instagram somewhere, Twitter, go find it. It is everything we're saying is exactly what he's saying. It's just it's really good. I would take the time. Shawn, what other game do you want to talk about this week?
Let's see. Is there a big one that you want? I mean, the Saints Bucks is nice to talk about.
Yeah, I think that one's. I actually think the Saints will keep that one close. Which
I do too.
We can talk about. I think that their defense. I also think Sean Payton's just one of those coaches, kind of like Tom Coughlin, that knows how to coach against Brady. You know, he gets it, and the Saints have the personnel to do one of Brady's his main weakness, which is rush without a blitz, cover in the back end.
Yeah, and for some reason, and it happens every single year, Lattimore just owns Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Like, unless Lattimore's hurt in the game, Lattimore just goes into that like it's the Super Bowl every time and just locks him up. It's so strange, but it just has that effect on him. And then obviously they got a Debo on the other side, which is kind of going to be an interesting one, that rookie cornerback with Brady and Godwin in them. But it's weird AB missing again, because when AB's out there, the Buccaneers are almost unstoppable on offense.
They are.
So him missing actually gives the Saints a little bit of a chance. It's just whether Jameis is going to throw you out of the game or not is the question.
That's the main thing. And they're also still missing Gronk. Like, this Bucs team is still missing a lot of players, but I think that will be an interesting one. You know, a game that I do think will be pretty fascinating and I think has a lot on the line is the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game. And this is why. If Baker doesn't play and Case Keenum's able to win another game, it's another indictment on Baker, man. It is. And I feel like Baker understands that. I think Baker's one of those guys that listens to the media and that reads the media. And I think Baker's going to try and push it to play this game. And I don't think it's the smart move. I think he needs to rest more. And I think it's putting him in harm's way, bro. And I think that's a very big storyline to follow.
Yeah, I think Baker needs to sit out for sure. But if Case ends up beating the team, then the media heat's going to come for him. I don't know how much Baker's going to buy into that necessarily with his mentality. But the media is going to come.
I don't think he'll buy into it, but I do think he listens.
Yeah, for sure. The media is going to, and he's going to get all spunky with them after the game and all this and that. But I think Baker's just going to need to prove it as best he can with the injury he's playing through. But he needs to make sure it's healed as best he can as well. He doesn't need to rush that back at all.
No.
Because it's just going to make him look bad in the end, especially if Case Keenum keeps winning games like that. The paying him in the offseason is really.
We've already talked about this. No way.
It's really just that's what the story is, because if Case Keenum keeps winning, it makes it hard for him to bargain like that. And I just don't know what they're going to do with it, because like we talked about on the last show, it isn't any hugely upgradable quarterbacks in the draft to take over him either. So really, do you just tag him and play it out? That's kind of what I would think, because I don't think he's going to end up being like Dak and just proving it over and over. No. But that game is very intriguing too, because the Steelers are kind of out there being underdogs, and I want to see Tomlin and them come out and actually win the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's a backup quarterback. It's time to come out and win the game if you're the Steelers.
Yep. And one storyline: last time these two guys saw each other, these two teams, Cleveland put it on them in the playoff game in Pittsburgh. First time Cleveland's won in Pittsburgh in like 15 years, and it was a playoff game, and they put it on them. The Steelers are going to remember that. The Steelers' defense is going to be ready. We still have no idea if this offense can get going for the Steelers. It's a huge divisional game. With the way the Bengals are looking, the Ravens, as I know they got crushed, they're still up there. These two teams need to keep up with those two. And whoever loses this game is going to get themselves step back really bad. Another very big divisional game, especially for the Colts, is this Colts-Titans game. This is a must-win for the Colts in terms of if they want any shot to come back and win this division. If they lose this game, bro, they lost both games to Tennessee, and they would be like 4 games back in the standings. And they wouldn't have the head-to-head. They would have lost both games. So it's over at that point. Unless Tennessee had the biggest meltdown ever, it's over. But if they win this game, they're tied in the head-to-head, and they're only 1 game back in the standings. This is a massive game for the Colts.
And both of those teams are playing well right now, like some of their best football. The Colts have came back strong after that shaky start when they're getting people healthy and everything.
Yeah.
And the Titans are on a roll, and that's almost why I wouldn't trust the Titans as much in this spot. It's almost like how I felt about when the Bengals played the Ravens last week. I feel like the Titans have had about 3 straight games where they've played almost perfect, and you just don't play perfect football like that for 4 and 5 and 6 straight weeks like that. So I just kind of see them coming down a little bit. Maybe the Colts have a shot on this one right here because it is their season when it comes to winning the division. They might not be out of the wild card necessarily, even though you can almost pick the AFC teams right now at this point that you feel confident in. But they're going to need to win this game to stay in that divisional race because they don't have a lot of room for error anymore like the Titans do.
Yep, no, they don't. And if the Titans win this game, they would then have the head-to-head over the Chiefs, over the Bills, over the Colts. I mean, the Titans would have the serious head-to-head in the conference in matchups here. But I think the Colts are playing really, really well right now. And I think that they end up winning this game. But that's a game that's going to be very fun to watch. Jonathan Taylor has been a stud, man. He is really getting going. He is so fun to watch. Carson Wentz looks more and more comfortable every single week in this in this Frank Wright offense. And by the way, bro, the Kyler Murray just threw a 61-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. It got pulled back from holding though, but it was a bomb. But it got pulled back. But now they're on Green Bay's 12. So by the time this comes back out, the game's over. But I just want to say that that was a bomb I saw there. So yeah, I think that this is one of those games where I don't like to do these whole must wins in week 8. It is a must win for the Colts if they want any shot of keeping within the division, most importantly, but even the wild card, man. You drop to 3-5, that is also going to be tough to come back. So I think we're both on that as well.
Yeah, speaking on the wild card, I was thinking about it just there as you were speaking. So the Raiders and the Chargers are solid. Everyone kind of thinks the Chiefs are going to turn it around. But if you look at that other side, the Bengals and Ravens are in it too.
Yeah.
And it's only 7 spots. So the Chiefs and the Colts are 2 big-time teams that have to win games to keep pace right there. Because like you said, if for some reason the Colts were to edge out the division, the Titans have the tiebreaker on the Chiefs at this point. So that Chiefs team, I know we talked about them a lot last time, and I'm bringing them up again, but that team's got to turn it around here soon, or else they might miss the playoffs, which no one is even fathoming right now.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that bet before the season. Chiefs to miss the playoffs. My goodness, probably like plus 20,000 or something like that. Yeah, and also, man, like, look.
Imagine the parlay, Chiefs and Seahawks.
Oh my goodness! That you probably bet $10, you win $2 million, probably something like that. Like, look, the Patriots, they're sitting there at 3-4. They're looking better every week. Like, they're not going to just go away. They might be able to get in the wild card hunt. You know, like I think the Steelers defense is too good for them to not be like a 500 type team. Like the Chiefs have to win this game. That is a legit must-win game on Monday night. That is a must-win game because of it's at home, it's on Monday night, it's against the Giants, and after that, you have the Packers, you have the Cowboys, you have the Raiders. It is a must-win game for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. And I'm glad you actually brought up New England because I wanted to talk about that, and I hadn't really discussed it with you beforehand.
Yeah.
This is the week that we determine whether they're frauds or not. All their wins are against bottom dwellers.
Like it.
All their losses are against good teams or good to average teams, except for the Dolphins, who they lost to somehow still.
Yep.
So this is that week. I need to see how they play against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers might come out and stomp them for all you know. Like, then all of a sudden that narrative becomes, they beat a bunch of bad teams. Like,
you're right. They've got to look good and keep pace with the Chargers and even really win that game. I'm pretty high on New England, not to like win the Super Bowl or anything. I don't even know if I'll have them to make the playoffs. I do like where they're going. I do honestly think though that Josh McDaniels is handcuffing Mac Jones a little bit. I know that you think that this is his ceiling. I think Mac Jones can do more. I think that Josh McDaniels is holding in the reins for some reason. I'm not saying he can go out there and throw it down the field like like Patrick Mahomes, but I think he can throw that ball a little bit farther than they're allowing him to right now. And I would like to see them open that up a little bit.
Okay. So then let me put it this way. I feel like this is his ceiling, but I feel like he doesn't have the weapons to hit like the max potential. Switch the Vikings receivers to Mac Jones' team. Isn't he just Kirk Cousins? That's how I feel about it. If you give him Justin Jefferson and Thielen, he would make the deep in and out route throws that Kirk Cousins makes, and then he'd put up the numbers Kirk Cousins does. I feel like
a good career.
I mean, no, for sure.
With Bill Belichick as your coach, a Kirk Cousins-led team can get you to some conference title games. Maybe if you're lucky enough to get to a Super Bowl game, like maybe not win Super Bowls like Brady, but with a Belichick coach, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, no, but I do feel like what you're talking about with McDaniels, I don't think he's handcuffing Mac necessarily. I think he's handcuffing the weapons around Mac. I just don't think the receivers can get open deep downfield like that consistently. So I think he just throws the short passes in order to move the ball. That's just how he feels they have to move the ball with the weapons they have, which I understand.
No, that's a good point. I'm more saying like, and I should have said this better. I do not like the way McDaniels is calling these plays. What I mean by that, if you go watch this Dallas game, the last game that New England played, Mac Jones drove right down the field, touchdown. Cowboys, right down the field, touchdown. Mac Jones, right down the field, touchdown. Overtime, Patriots come out, run. I see that in all of these games this year. It's like he just flips the switch from, Mac's throwing too much now. Let's get it to the run game. And I know that's Bill Belichick's style. Maybe Bill Belichick's pushing that on him. I just think that McDaniels has kind of lost his luster, man. He's not like a hot commodity guy anymore for a head coaching job. I really think he lost them that Cowboys game. I think if they came out aggressive in overtime, they could possibly win that game.
Yeah, I can see your point there. It's just a little, I don't know about hitting a deep shot after like the shot that they did hit to tie it up should have been picked by the free safety.
Definitely been picked.
So I mean, I kind of see, I just understand where McDaniels is coming from. And on the 3rd and 5, Mac missed the out route. Like he just overthrew it. So I mean, I understand I hate a run pass offense too, as much as the next guy. But I mean, they did get the 3rd manageable and he just missed the pass. It's hard for me to critique McDaniels when it's like you have a rookie quarterback and the weapons aren't as good as they need to be. I mean, they paid Jonnu Smith how much money and what does he do?
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, now if you want to blame McDaniels on something, I blame McDaniels on that. You have 2 tight ends, use your 2 tight ends.
No doubt.
Instead of getting Hunter Henry 1 catch and Jonnu Smith doing nothing all game. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I need to see him with some receivers. But I do feel like Matt could be like a Kirk Cousins if you give him the right talent around him.
Yeah. My thing is this. Like, I would say, and this is my opinion, I think the Chicago Bears have better weapons than the Patriots. And Mac is doing way more than what Fields is doing out there. And maybe it's all about Nagy, which I have just said earlier that it's about Nagy. I think that the 49ers have way, and we haven't seen enough of Trey. I think Zach Wilson, I honestly think Zach Wilson has better weapons with Corey Davis. Corey Davis is better than any receiver on the Patriots. Any receiver on the Patriots.
And Elijah Moore's faster than all of them. So
he's definitely. I mean, he is. Jamison Crowder is an awesome little slot guy. My guy Braxton, love me some Braxton, but their tight ends are good. I just think Mac Jones is a good quarterback. He's not Tom Brady. That's so stupid for anyone that says TB12 Junior. I've seen Patriots fans say that stuff. Kirk Cousins is what he is. I think maybe he's even Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan's better than Kirk Cousins. I think he could get to that Matt Ryan ceiling, which is similar. Not very good at the deep ball, but poised, not going to make too many mistakes unless, there are times like it. I just think that I think Mac Jones is playing better than a lot of people expected for his rookie year. That's all I'm saying. I really do believe that.
No, completely agree. And then he just definitely needs the receiving core because Matt Ryan had his MVP season with Julio and all them out there. So, I mean. Yeah.
Matt Ryan's always had good weapons for the most part. So you're right. And to be honest, man, I've never really seen Bill Belichick give a good receiving core other than that year in 2007. And, Brady always just uplifted. They're going to have to find a way to get better scouting on those receivers.
Yeah, I don't understand how they just miss on receivers constantly. I mean, you would think they would just like try to take one of the lower scouts at the Steelers or something and just have him grade out receivers or something like that.
Like, hey man, we'll pay you extra. Just come on and
Yeah.
tell us what you
I mean,
do.
they pull like random Deontay Johnsons out of like third, fourth, and fifth rounds. Like AB came in the sixth. I mean, the Steelers are ridiculous at it. So
It's incredible. All right. Any other games before we get into our third and short and third and long?
No, I think we've hit them all. I mean, I hope the Jags can come out and play well in Seattle. I mean, I got to touch on them a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I feel like this is a good game for Trevor to go against a struggling defense. I think he can have a good game this time. And Geno, like I said, I don't know if I trust Geno throwing the ball. I just more so worry about DK just torching our defensive backs. So it's gonna be a good game. I feel like. I mean, the line is like 3.5, and I mean, I wanted to take them so bad, but I don't want to be a homer pick every time. So it's gonna be a good game in my opinion. You know, I'll be watching it, so it'll be.
Yeah, no, I'll be watching it too. I think it will be a good game. I think, like I said at the beginning of the other show, I think the Jags have a chance to win outright. I think that the Pete Carroll time is spiraling right now, and it's not necessarily his fault. Russell Wilson's out. I just think there's a lot of tension going on up in Seattle. Geno Smith has not played well. The offensive line hasn't helped him out a lot. I think that you give Urban and this team a whole extra week to prepare. They should. I mean, it would be bad if they didn't come out ready to roll. You know, I'm not saying to win that game, but ready to roll.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like I said, I would just look for Trevor to improve every week, and they're going to play Jamal Agnew a lot more, which I think is actually like a sneaky like little fantasy pickup if you need a receiver. I think he's going to start getting a little more touches out there. Speed guy. Trevor likes to throw to those smaller speed guys like Amari Rodgers in college. I think he's going to be a little sneaky fantasy play for some of you people out there looking on the waiver wire, needing a receiver in a deep league. So yeah, just watch out for him a little bit. He's going to play a lot more wide receiver than he did first half of the season.
All right. Well, you heard it there. He gave you the Uzma last week. That worked out. Maybe he can give it to you again this week with Agnew. Give us your third and short, bro.
All right. Third and short. We talked about it before. I was going to take the Vikings plus 2.5. Now with Dak possibly out, I'm going to take them minus 2.5. I'd watch the line again. If you could get it back to plus 2.5, if they do announce that Dak's back, I would take the points every time. Not saying to throw them on the money line, but I'm going to take the Vikings as my third and short this week.
Yeah, I think that's a really good play. I don't see how Cowboys can win without Dak coming back. For my third and short here, I am going with the Colts -1. And for everything I just said when we talked about it, I think the Colts are playing really well. I think that the Carson Wentz is extremely confident. I think Jonathan Taylor's doing really well, and it's at home. And again, it's a must-win. The Colts know it. The Titans have been the hottest team in the NFL right now. Like you said, Shawn, it's going to come down for a little bit. I think the Colts win this in a very entertaining game, by the way. But I think the Colts win that one.
Yeah, I love that pick.
Awesome. What do you got for your third and long?
Third and long, I'm going to hold my breath on the Giants covering that 9 points on Monday night. It's going to be –
cover up.
Yeah, I'll put the hood on every time I walk through. I mean, it's going to be – like I said, I would do a prop bet, but the prop bets haven't really came out for the weekend, so I can't really ride. I mean, for the line, that's where I'm at on it. It's just – I don't know if the Chiefs can blow anyone out like you had mentioned earlier. I don't know if they can blow anyone out right now. And the Giants might come out with a little bit more fight than you would think. They seem to try to keep it close in a lot of games. It's just scary. And I know I can't take Rams Texans. I can't take the Texans to cover anything. So for the 9 points, it's just a hold your breath play. I do think they might can keep it close, maybe hit the back door, and it might be solid in the end.
I think it's totally a play, man. Like I said, I cannot trust the Chiefs to blow anyone out right now. And I think Daniel Jones is actually playing good football. Again, he has had more injuries on his offensive side of the ball than anyone out there, maybe other than the Colts. I mean, the Colts have had some crazy stuff too, but it's been crazy. So I'm with you. On mine, I've got a parlay. Now, usually I don't condone parlays because it's really just stupid. It's hard enough to win one bet to do two. But when you do two bets like this, where you take two underdogs, it's a third and long shot, and that's taking New England +6 and that's taking the Saints +5. You put those two together, you got to have them both cover. Think that there's a good chance that they do. Like Shawn said, statement game for New England, and the Saints have always been able to play the Bucs well since Brady's got there, because Sean Payton kind of knows how to do it. They have the defense. Those are going to be some fun games. I'm going to put those together in a little parlay, small little parlay.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And it's so weird hearing you talk nice about the Saints and Sean Payton as much as you hate them. So it's kind of hilarious.
I hate him so much. But you know this, dude. I think Sean Payton can be a total jerk too with the way he does some of these things to the players out there. But it's hard to not say right now he's not a top 2 coach in football.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's incredible what he is. It's just they've had capped out for like 4 years, and he just finds ways to just keep them going. He's such a good coach. Jameis would not even look near. I mean, he doesn't even look great, but he would look way worse on any other team. And that's very hard for me to say, but yeah. So anything else?
He was winning games with a hybrid tight end at quarterback from BYU. So that
says it all right there.
Yeah. But I think we've covered basically all of it. Again, everyone be ready for that Spotify and Apple Pod to hit next week, because I'm gonna have it going for that. Like I said, takes me a little while with the technical stuff. I've never had to do anything like that before, so it took me a little bit to do that along with my other job and everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure we got it right and did it right. We'll have the cover art going, and that'll be up next week. Monday, we'll have the big time reaction show to everything that happened. We'll record that. I'll get it uploaded, and it should go to every other thing. Make sure you're interacting, liking, and subscribing on YouTube. And we can't wait to get some audience going so we can interact with you guys.
No doubt. Thank you, everyone. This is the Money Down Pod. One thing I want to say, follow us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. We will start posting bets on there too. Like if we see something Sunday morning that we like, we'll start posting tweets and stuff like that on there. So follow us, Money Down Pod. I'm Kayvon at Kayvon_sports. That's Shawn White at Dumpster Fire Fan. You know what team that is. Follow us on Twitter. Follow the show at Money Down Pod. We will be back on Monday to talk. Oh, there you go. You saw all the Dumpster Fire teams right there. We will be back on Monday to recap everything that happened this weekend. Have a great one, everyone.
Have a good one.